with any people who can't make it. So hopefully that's okay with everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so that we have some visual. So for those who aren't on the phone, you'll be able to see it. Okay, so yeah, as more people join, just go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, or if you're on the phone, it's okay to also say your name. So you're all very welcome to the launch of the Southern Virginia Community Challenge. We're very excited. We've been working closely with Jeremy and James and the team there in Southern Virginia over the last couple of weeks to get all this prepared and ready. So we're excited to finally be putting it out into the world. So today you're going to get the chance to hear from some of the Microsoft team, so some of the people whose support has helped to make this happen, some of the ChangeX team who will be here to kind of support you over the coming weeks and months as hopefully you and other people in your community start some of these projects. And also you'll get a chance to hear from some of the people behind these projects, so the people who've started them in other parts of the US or also in Europe. So that's kind of a little bit about what to expect today. Just a little bit more housekeeping. We will have time for questions at the end, but as we're speaking, if you have questions, you can just post them in the chat and then we'll kind of deal with them all at the end. But also for anyone on the phone, you'll get the opportunity to kind of pitch in with any questions or feedback that you have at the end. And then just to mention again that we are recording today's call, so we'll be sharing it with people who maybe couldn't make it. So I'm just going to go ahead and hand over to Jeremy, who's there in Southern Virginia, and he's going to give a little bit of an introduction to his work and a little bit about why he's excited about the Southern Virginia Community Challenge.
Thank you, Neve. I appreciate it. First and foremost, let me say that you can hear that noise. That is my computer that is doing something. I don't know what it's doing. So there is some background noise. So I'm going to probably shorten up just a little bit. My name is Jeremy Satterfield, for those folks on the phone or on video that don't know me. I work within Microsoft for the TechSpark program. I've been on board a couple of years now. And had the opportunity to work with, I think, everybody that's on the phone, and that's the reason that you guys are on the phone. The other screen that you see that's there is Rusty, James, and Heather from the Boydton Morale Committee. They're waving at you. They're going to come in and chime in as well to speak about this, but really just wanted this opportunity to tell you how excited we are about being able to bring ChangeX to the forefront here in Boydton and the region. Presents a very unique opportunity for us to take Microsoft a little bit further and extend it into the region as opposed to what we've been able to do there in the past. We've been kind of limited with one in the staffing resources and the capital resourcing side, but the ChangeX presents a very unique opportunity to kind of blend both of those worlds. And we're super excited. Wanted to take the opportunity to thank everybody for jumping on today's call and setting sail with us on this venture all at the same time. So with that, I'll just say thank you and stay tuned as we're going to go throughout the process on what exactly ChangeX is and some of the opportunities that you and your organizations will have moving forward with this. So, Neve?
Brilliant. Thanks, Jeremy. And just before the call started, Jeremy told us that his kids thought that was a little dolphin. So since he said that, I now just picture a little dolphin there on Jeremy's desk. So I might just hand you over now to Paul O'Hara, who's the CEO of ChangeX, just to give a little bit more of an introduction to what ChangeX is and a little bit more about what we'll be doing together with you all in Southern Virginia.
Very good. You can hear me okay there?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. Good morning, everybody. On the US side, we're calling from Dublin here on the east coast of Ireland. So lovely to see all the faces. First of all, a huge thanks to Jeremy and the team for pulling all this together and getting things prepared, and to Neve also for getting all the prep done for the launch, and also to Holly and Rahul, who I see on here as well, who were the ones that kind of originally instigated this partnership between Microsoft and ChangeX. And so this is, believe it or not, our 6th region that we're launching together. So we have a little bit of experience behind us, and some of the regions have been going great. So we're very excited to be launching in Southern Virginia today. I'm from rural west of Ireland, so I know rural, and I've been to Virginia many times, but mainly up the north to Arlington, which you're probably all familiar with. And so I used to work for an organization that were headquartered there. So that's the part of Virginia I know best. So a little bit about ChangeX. We started ChangeX with the idea of, like, if we could get the best ideas from around the world and put them in the hands of communities elsewhere. So taking ideas that have been developed in communities that are working really well, and rather than reinventing the wheel, everyone having to reinvent the wheel, could we just equip communities with those ideas that may be relevant for their own local context? So how ChangeX works, it's effectively a platform that connects communities with proven social and environmental innovations, and also funding to get those ideas up and running. So we curate and package ideas that are working well. So ideas, you'll hear about many of them today, ideas like Community Fridge and others. And then funding partners fuel local community teams to get those ideas up and running in their own local place. So Microsoft have been a great partner for us on that. And then local teams are really the ones that have to do the work. So they take the idea and get it up in their community if they think the idea is relevant. So that could be a group of kids, retirees, school teachers, friends, family, whatever it is. They can just organize into teams to get these ideas up and running. And then we measure and share the impact outcomes of that effort. So that's kind of how the platform works. And then a little bit about the challenge that we're launching today. So the goal with all these challenges is to build thriving communities, in this case, across Southern Virginia. So we're launching today. The funding available is $35,000, and that's distributed in smaller amounts of between $500 and $5,000 per project. And that depends on basically it depends on what the project needs to get started. So different projects have different price points, but all in that 500 to 5,000 range. So region-wise, it's across Southern Virginia, and maybe Jeremy can speak a little bit more to how that's defined. The goal is we're aiming to get about 20 new projects up and running over the coming year, and the portfolio of ideas is 12. So Niamh and Katie will be running through which specific ideas are part of this proposition. And the overall themes this is focused on are sustainability, workforce development, and inclusive communities, which are 3 of Microsoft's big priority areas, but they also overlap with the needs of communities. And so with this effort, we're basically showcasing ideas that we hope will resonate with the local community, but it's very much up to the local community to decide which of the ideas is most relevant, and we're just here then to support communities to get those ideas going. So pleasure to meet you all, and look forward to chatting a bit further in a little while. So back to you, Niamh.
Brilliant, thank you, Paul. So now I might hand over to Holly Beale, who's at Microsoft HQ in Redmond. So as Paul said, this is our 6th community that we've launched in partnership with Microsoft. So we've worked very closely with Holly over the last few months. So Holly, would you like to tell us just a little bit about how this fits into Microsoft's work overall?
Yeah, absolutely. And apologies, I am home sick today, but glad to be able to be on the call. I also have this computer has the most awkward camera angle that exists, but I'm happy to see everyone's smiling faces. So why is Microsoft supporting this program in Virginia? So Microsoft has a culture from the top down and the bottom up of engaging with communities and giving back. It's a quote from Satya, who's the CEO of Microsoft, who has time and time again reinforced the importance of our company in giving back in communities. And then that trickles down all the way through levels of leadership and then down to everyone on the ground in our spirit of giving back. So if you go to the next slide, Neve, we have, and my manager Rahul's on the line too, and we have a small but mighty team who is working globally in our data center communities. We have a data center community development team that has 4 different initiatives that you can see on the left, and we have these focus areas on the right where we are looking to engage in those communities to support environmental and economic and social development. And we know that, and Jeremy and some team there is local in Virginia. So, and as Neve mentioned, Paul mentioned, we've launched these challenges in 6 now, I believe, locations across the world, and really excited for Virginia to be our next location. If Neve, you go to the next slide, you'll see that this is part of a global portfolio of different types of initiatives. We have the kind of signature projects that we have in different locations, but this grassroots approach is new to us. Well, fairly new now. We've had this initiative for almost a year now, and where we're supporting that grassroots involvement in our locations. So really be able to have support people in those communities who want to do good work, but just need a little bit of tools and resources. So we are excited to be able to be that catalyst for that grassroots involvement. So hope that kind of gives you a sense of why we're supporting this, and have any questions, happy to answer. But otherwise, I will pass it back to Neve and maybe go grab a tissue.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Holly, for a great introduction. And yeah, we're all very appreciative of all the great work that Microsoft does. Jeremy told me just before this call that he feels like he has the best job in the world, and I can totally see why. So now we're going to get down to the details a little bit more. So I'm sure a lot of you want to learn exactly how this will work, who can apply, and what kind of supports or opportunities are involved. So Katie Smith, who's on the ChangeX team here in Dublin and is sitting right beside me, is going to just run through a little bit more detail on the challenge and how it works.
Thank you, Neve. As Neve said, I'm Katie. Hi, and I'm sitting right beside Neve, although I have my own camera. So we're in Dublin in the ChangeX HQ. So what you're seeing here is the Southern Virginia Community Challenge landing page. So after this call, we'll share a link with you and you'll be able to get onto this page live. You'll be the first to see it, which is really exciting. As Neve said, this is our 6th community challenge that we're launching with Microsoft. So we're really excited to start working in the Southern Virginia community. So how does this work? I'm going to talk you through how it works, and then we're going to go into the more exciting bit around each of the individual ideas and what's involved in starting each of them. So how it works is that you select one of 12 ideas, and once you do, you'll get your own local page on ChangeX. And so this project page will walk you through a 30-day challenge. The 30-day challenge involves a number of really simple steps that you need to tick off, some of which are having a call with one of us on the ChangeX team here. You need to form a team, so you need to find 4 other committed people in your community who want to help you to succeed with this project. You need to meet with that team, just in like a coffee shop or in your home even. And develop an action plan. How are you going to get your project started in your community? And then your very last step is to upload a photo of that meeting happening, alongside a brief action plan and a brief layout of how you hope that your project is going to help to improve your own community's well-being. So at that point, then you will receive the funding that's been allocated to you for your project. So the funding amounts vary depending on the project that you've chosen to start. They vary between $500 and, if you just go back to the last one, between $500 and $5,000 depending on the idea. So then in terms of who can apply to this, so at ChangeX, the whole idea is that it's as open and accessible to everyone to start or to have the opportunity to start a project in their community. So once you're based in Southern Virginia, in one of the 5 counties that it lists here, which covers, I think, most of Southern Virginia, maybe not quite all. But once you're in that area and you're passionate about starting an idea in your project and improving your own community's well-being, then the project is open to you. So whether you're an individual, if you're an individual, you need to form a team, but it's open for you to start. Whether you're in a school, in a community center, in a senior citizen center, in a neighborhood group, whatever it might be, this opportunity is open to you. So then in terms of the support that you receive, you just go on a slide. So as I mentioned, every project is allocated funding, so between $500 and $5,000. So once you've completed that 30-day challenge, you'll receive 70% of that funding. And then you'll receive the remaining 30% a few months down the line when you've shown to us that your project is up and running and you're able to report back on the outcomes that your project is having and how it's improving your community's well-being. You'll also get a starter pack in the mail, which will include a general guide to starting a community project, as well as a more specific guide to starting your specific project, and a little gift as well, which we will leave as a surprise for now. You'll also get support. So myself and Niamh will be at the other end of the phone or of emails. So if you've got any questions along the way as to how to get your project started, or you come across any stumbling blocks, we'll be here for you. You get tech tools, so you get your page, as I mentioned earlier. So that page can help you to form your team, to set up events, to keep your team updated on what's going on. And then in some cases, you'll get mentorship as well. So from the social innovators themselves, or from people who have already started the idea in other communities, and might be able to give you some tips and tricks. So I'll hand back to Niamh now and we'll go through the ideas in more detail.
Great, thank you, Katie. So I know some people might have more. Katie did a great job of, but there's a lot there to take in. So if you have any questions, just post them in the chat, or else we'll get a chance to hear them at the end. So yeah, as Katie said, now we get to the more exciting bit, which is what ideas are actually in the challenge. So as Paul, I think, mentioned at the start, at ChangeX, we kind of focus on finding ideas that already work and then packaging them in such a way that more people in more communities can get them started. So while we are open to potentially some kind of local ideas, because we know there's probably lots of great innovation happening in Southern Virginia, at the beginning, at least, we're totally focused on kind of replicating these ideas that already work. So we've worked with Jeremy and the team to select ideas that we think will resonate in local communities there. But we're always surprised by which ideas kind of are most popular, because communities ultimately decide which ones they're interested in or which ones are needed in their local area. So we have a couple of the people behind these ideas on the line today. And the first one is the newest idea on ChangeX, and we're very excited to have Girls Who Code on ChangeX now to take part in the Southern Virginia Community Challenge. So Amy, would you like to just tell us a little bit about Girls Who Code and what a Girls Who Code club is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. So my name is Amy Lehman, and I am a regional partnership coordinator representing the states of Virginia, DC, and Maryland for Girls Who Code. So Girls Who Code, we are an international nonprofit, and we are dedicated to closing the gender gap in technology. So the way that we do that is we offer completely free computer science programs for students with a strong interest in obviously getting girls. However, boys are also can be part of our programs. And what we've done is we've designed curriculum and supportive peer groups and supportive sisterhood groups, as well as giving girls access to role models in the tech industry to really capture their interest in computer science and in coding at critical ages. So our club's program focuses on 3rd through 12th grade girls.
Brilliant. Thanks, Amy. And are there many Girls Who Code clubs already in Virginia?
Yeah, so we actually have over 400 Girls Who Code clubs across the whole state.
Wow.
And we're tracking to have about 10,000 clubs nationally this year. So we're really excited about that. We had a 100% growth from last year to this year in Virginia. So we're pretty pumped about what we're seeing here.
Very cool. That's an exciting future then for Virginia. And so then the next idea we wanted to introduce is Men's Shed. So Phil Johnson is the director of the US Men's Sheds Association, and he's joining us from Minneapolis today. And ChangeX launched in Minnesota a few years ago, and Phil was one of the first people I think that we met, and he's since gone on to support multiple sheds get started across the state of Minnesota and beyond. So Phil, do you want to tell us a little bit about Men's Sheds?
Well, sure, Neve. Thanks for inviting me. Men's Sheds are about social connections and friendship building and a lot of laughter. They are places where older men can get together, have fun, share some skills with people like themselves, and in many cases, getting a renewed sense of purpose and belonging. They do reduce isolation and feelings of loneliness, which is a big challenge across the world. And they allow men to deal with mental health challenges more easily and remain independent. We use the term health by stealth. So while men are gathered and enjoying each other and doing projects, they improve their mental well-being as well. So we have men's sheds in 20 locations now across the country. We do have, we're just getting started on the East Coast. We have 3 sheds going up in Vermont as we're speaking. And we've had a lot of requests for information from Virginia, including, I know I've got one from Roanoke, a fellow named Gary Stein. So we have expressions of interest many times. However, there are folks that want to join a shed, and our challenge now is to get sheds set up. So we've enjoyed our relationship with ChangeX. They've been very helpful, and we're looking forward to doing more together.
Brilliant. Thanks, Phil. And yeah, Men's Sheds actually originates in Australia and has since spread to many countries around the world. So it's great to see it now growing further in the US. So the next idea is one that's a little bit closer to home for us here in Ireland, and it's grow it yourself. So Alex is on the line, I think, in Waterford. Would you tell us a little bit about GIY and what a GIY group is, Alex?
Yeah, of course. Hello. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Thanks for having me. So I'll just tell you a bit about GIY and what we do. So it started with our CEO and founder over 11 years ago, Michael Kelly. And we're a non-for-profit social enterprise. And we want everyone to grow some of their own food for a healthier, happier, more sustainable world. So we know that food is an area where people can take actions that have immediate sustainability and health impacts. And that growing some of your own food and veg is a really simple way to develop a deeper understanding and connection with food. And that's food empathy, we call that at GIY. So our ambition is to help 4 million people to grow some of their own food between now and 2025. So we're going to do this through our work in schools and workplaces, but also in the community. This year, we're going to help out 5,000 people, 500,000 people and 8,000 community groups to start growing their own food across the UK, Ireland, and now, really exciting, in the US. So we can't wait to see what groups get going in Southern Virginia and how the community challenge is going to bring GIY to so many more people. We are based, as you said, Neve, in the southeast of Ireland in what we call Grow HQ. So it's where we practice what we preach. We've taken this 3-acre urban site and turned it into an amazing urban veg garden. So it just goes to show that you can start your growing project wherever and whenever. I think.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Alex. And we've already seen a bunch of DIY groups get started through some of the other Microsoft Community Challenges. So we've had quite a few in Chicago and Arizona. So yeah, very excited to see more pop up now.
I know, I can't wait.
Yeah, thanks so much. So we're actually just going to do as much as we'd like to go into detail on the rest of the ideas. Myself and Katie here are just going to do a quick kind of run through just to give everyone a sense of what they are. But as Katie mentioned, we'll be sharing a link once this call is over that brings you to that landing page, and then you can browse through these ideas and learn more about them. There's more detail on the site, as well as the 5-step guide and the kind of step-by-step for how you could get one of these ideas started. So Katie, do you want to take it away there on the first few?
Absolutely, yeah. So the next two ideas, bee-friendly farming and pollinator partnership, are both ideas organized by Pollinator Partnership, a nonprofit based in San Francisco that is totally focused on pollinator health across North America. So bee-friendly farming is a program for farmers with farms of all sizes and both urban and rural type of farms to dedicate a percentage of their land to pollinator health and to get recognition for it in their community and to get consumer support for doing so. Pollinator Partnership then is about protecting and supporting all types of pollinators at a neighborhood level. So whether that's creating a pollinator habitat in a school, in an office place, in a community garden, in a park, or wherever that might be. Open Orchard is about communities coming together to plant fruit trees in communal spaces. So I know pear trees, I think, and apple trees flourish in Southern Virginia, but any type of fruit tree works here, and it provides greening and a cleaner air and a fresh food source for communities nearby to where it's planted. Then the last plastic straw is a movement where people come together in communities to encourage local businesses to reduce the automatic use of single-use plastic, particularly starting with plastic straws. And it's been it started in California, as far as I know, California, and it's been quite successful in some of the other community challenges that we've worked with Microsoft on. So we're really looking forward to seeing how it works in Southern Virginia. And then the last one I'm going to talk about is Repair Cafe. So this is an idea that originated in the Netherlands, and it involves people coming together in communities to fix items that might otherwise be thrown away and replaced. And people learn from each other and about how to fix things, which is a skill that is often kind of being forgotten these days. So it kind of ties into the circular economy.
Great.
And now Niamh will take you through the last four.
Thanks, Katie. Yeah, so the next one there is cycling without age. So this is an idea that originates in Copenhagen, and it's now spread right across the world. And it involves nursing homes or senior citizens groups partnering with local volunteers in the community to give older people an opportunity to get out and about and stay connected with the local community through bike rides. So there's a specially designed rickshaw that the older people can get a ride in so that they can feel, as Cycling Without Age say, they can feel the wind in their hair. So this has been growing actually very quickly right across the US. And there's lots of benefits both for the volunteers and also for the older people in just social connection and feeling connected to the community. The next one then is Recycle Across America, and this is an idea that actually originates in Minnesota but has spread right across the US, and it's just all about making recycling easier for people through the use of standardized recycling labels. So the program that we have on ChangeX is actually a school program where schools can get access to the standardized recycling labels and also a curriculum or program to help kids and teachers and everyone in the school community learn how to recycle right and ultimately save the school money as well. So I know that was one that James there in Southern Virginia was particularly excited about. So the next idea is actually an idea that originates here in Ireland and has gone very international over the last few months, and it's called Grow Remote, and it's a growing network of chapters that connect remote workers with companies that are offering remote jobs, and also helping both those to stay connected within the local community. So as many more people now go remote, Grow Remote is helping those people to stay connected. And then the last idea on here is Community Fridge, and this is led by an organisation in the UK, and it's all about preventing food waste. So by diverting food that would otherwise go to waste to people who need it. So people at community centres or schools or colleges or sometimes even shops set up a community fridge where food can be donated and then people in the community can access it. So that's just, a little bit of an introduction to all of the ideas, and thanks a million particularly to Amy, Phil and Alex for sharing a little bit more on the first three. And as I said, you can find out lots more information on the link that we'll share afterwards. And if you have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat. So I think we're almost ready to move to the kind of feedback and questions section. I wanted to go to that nice room there in Southern Virginia where Heather and James are. I know that you two, I wanted to hear a little bit from you two because you've been quite involved in this from the outset. So just to hear about kind of what you're excited about and how you think this is going to work locally.
Hi, I'm James. I've got Rusty here on my left, and I've got Heather here on my right. I'm in the South Boston area. Rusty's in the South Hill area, and she's right in between us. We're a small group of the technicians here at the data center. There are more than 100 employees here, and the majority of us live right here in Southern Virginia. We're super excited about this opportunity. We already participate in a lot of community efforts there, but now we're really excited to see this new thing come in, and they're focused on sustainability. Everything seems to be in line with the core values of Microsoft, so we're just super excited to get to be a part of this.
Absolutely, and I just want to follow up from what James said. I don't know if you guys can read his shirt, but it says give. I think this is kind of a perfect shirt to be wearing today. So Microsoft does their give campaign, and for the past few years, it's been something that we do and that we're involved in, but last year is something that just really exploded for us. James, myself, and there's another gentleman who works with us, his name is Josh. We all just took it and we ran with it, and we jumped right into the community. We jumped right into, where are those needs? Like, is there any gap that we can fill? And we started working with nonprofits and really getting an idea of what our communities really need. So this honestly just comes, so our gift campaign runs in October. So this ChangeX comes right behind it for us, right? So this is a perfect opportunity to go back out there and say, hey guys, we've got more stuff, like really cool stuff, and more opportunity, and just how much excitement that we feel towards it to be able to share to our community has been awesome. Jeremy has been a great supporter, and he has kept us in the loop on any and all of the information towards ChangeX. So we are definitely excited. I'm ready to get out there, and I kind of want to follow up with Paul. Paul posted in the chat about what ideas are we excited about. James and I don't know if it showed on the video, but we kind of looked at each other when they were talking about recycling. So recycling isn't something that, I don't want to say it's not supported within the community, but it's just difficult because when you're in a rural community, everything is so spread out. So to have one centralized place has been kind of difficult. So I'm really interested in how that has worked for other rural communities and how we can make it and support it here within ours, because it is something that is massive, and I think we would absolutely benefit from it. Just a small story, my daughter came home. Apparently they do teach recycling in the school and they support it. And she came home and she asked me, she said, well, Mommy, why don't we recycle? And I felt about this big, I'll be honest, having my then 6-year-old, she's now 7, but having my then 6-year-old pretty much call me out, I was like, oh, yes, well, we need to work on that. So, it's just something that I'm very excited about. A ton of other things that were mentioned, like the community fridge. I've had the idea of a community closet, just playing off of different ideas that you guys presented today. Very, very excited about that.
Brilliant. Thank you all so much, and thanks for all of your input and help in pulling all this together. So I just want to open it up now to questions. So if you're on the phone and you have a question, feel free to shout it out. If you're online, you can post it in the chat. If people are feeling a bit shy, I might start with one question. And I know that it's often a question people have is, how can we share this, or how do we let people know about it? So Katie, do you want to tell us a little bit about what are the best ways to share it? Or
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier, but right after this call, we will share an email with you that will have a link to the page, and also I think some like sample communications that you can use in emails or on your social media accounts, or however else you want to try and communicate with people in your communities. So if you can think of anyone when you go through this list of ideas that you think might be the right person to start one of them, whether they're a teacher or someone who's really active in the community or has a particular interest in one of these areas, don't be shy about letting them know about it. Give them your support. You can be one of their joiners. You can start something yourself. Just get the word out in any way you possibly can think of. Social media can be a really great one.
Great, thanks, Katie.
This is Betty. I don't really have a question. I just want to say thank you to Microsoft for another wonderful community opportunity. And as I was listening to the presentation, it occurs to me that Halifax County just recently in the last year conducted a community strategic plan, and our plan includes a focus on workforce development and quality of life. And I think that there are some areas that we tagged in that plan that could be tied back to one or more of these projects.
Brilliant. That's great, Betty. Yeah. We totally are seconding your thanks to Microsoft. But delighted to hear that some of these kind of align with some of the community priorities that already exist. Is there a group in Halifax County that kind of lead that plan, or someone that maybe we should share this with?
Well, I'm the chairman of the local chamber.
Oh, brilliant. You're the right person.
In addition to being the executive director here at the Higher Ed Center, and I will share this with our chamber exec, Mitzi McCormick, who Jeremy knows, and Jeremy, we might want to get you to come and talk to our chamber board at our next meeting. Are you available?
Of course, I always am.
I'll get you the date.
Sounds good. Thank you, Betty.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Betty.
Sounds like you have those dolphins under control there as well, Jeremy.
I switched to my headset, so I'm hoping, and I'm a little bit further away from the computer, so maybe it's not quite as loud now. My apologies. It's very annoying.
No problem at all. So any more questions or feedback?
Hi, all. This is Chad Patton from Southside, and I have a question.
Sure.
First, I'd like to thank Microsoft, too. This is great. But my question is, would projects that already exist be considered to improve projects that fit in these categories, or should all these be new initiatives?
So sometimes what happens is, so for a project that already exists, so say an existing nonprofit, they might take on one of these projects as kind of an additional project or something that aligns with the work that they're already doing. So that's kind of one option. And then the other option is where there is an existing project or work that's already happening that has the potential to maybe scale to other parts of the region. So say it's already happening in South Boston, but there's potential for it to spread to other parts of Southern Virginia, then we could potentially add that into the portfolio.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Chad.
Hey, and Neve, I was just going to bring some questions that have been brought forth from the Morale Committee, Heather, James, and Rusty, that you and I have discussed, and I figure now is the the perfect time to go ahead and lay those out. But so applications, when the link that comes out from Katie and Neve and Paul come out, when the applications come forth, they can't be bearers of names from Microsoft employees. When you form that team that you will need to have in place to conduct your project, of course, Microsoft folks are highly encouraged or warranted to be on those teams. As a matter of fact, there's an individual that wanted to be on this call but had a prior obligation. When I sent this link to him, he actually jumped on ChangeX website on his own and found a project and has already asked me to serve on his team, and he doesn't even have the link yet. So we do have a lot of excitement that's built around that, but applications will have to come forth from somebody that is not employed by Microsoft. We can happily serve on your team, working shoulder to shoulder with you guys as we go through and move throughout a project. And also, one of the other questions I think that Rusty asked was, we're all very much embedded and invested in the communities in which we live, work, and play in many different facets. But one of the questions was, could an organization have 2 projects open at a time? And the answer there is, as long as it's not the same individual putting in for an application, that is something that's allowable when you have different teams that are built around it to achieve different results. So just a couple of questions that our teams kind of thought about in Boynton and surrounding communities. And if you did notice, and I forgot to allude to that, and Katie called me on that, and I should have, but we're primarily looking at Mecklenburg County, Halifax County, Charlotte County, Lunenburg County, and Brunswick County. That does not mean specifically that we wouldn't do some outside of that. It's just those counties that we were kind of focusing in on because that's where the vast majority of our workforce from the data center is coming from, and we knew that they're already heavily invested in those communities. So thanks.
Brilliant. Thanks, Jeremy. They were excellent answers to questions. I think better than we could have answered them ourselves. So I think it looks like there aren't really any more questions. Is that last chance for anyone who might have a question?
Okay. Just one question, Neve, from my end. So it's great to have some of the data center team on the call here. So one of the things we've been trying to figure out is how best to connect teams that want to start employees at the data center who may be open to opportunities to join teams or volunteer their time and expertise around certain areas that the team might be facing. So I don't know if you have, I just wanted to see like if the team at the data center there have given this some thought, or what would be the most efficient way to connect the teams with the folk at the data center.
So hi, Heather again. I think I'll go ahead and take that question. So I lead our morale committee here on campus, and Rusty and James are actually a part of our morale committee. And one of the things that our morale committee does is we get information out to our data center employees, so our Microsoft employees. So this is one of those things that we will be sharing with all Microsoft employees here on campus so that they can know what is going on, and also allow them to ask any of their questions, since at least the 3 of us will be well informed on most of the questions that they will probably have. So from our perspective, that's how we're going to get that information out. We're a very open, I guess, for us to be about 140 people now, we're a very open group of people, right? Like we share constantly. We're always trying to keep people in the know. And so for us, I believe it's actually going to be pretty easy to get that information out and to get people pumped up and excited about it.
What's the subcommittee?
We also do have our subcommittee. That is a community engagement subcommittee that we just recently started. And that committee is full force. We meet once a month. The morale committee meets once a month, and so does our subcommittee on community engagement. And that particular subcommittee is the committee that deals with the community side of things, and then our morale committee deals with the data center side of things. So the people who are actually on the subcommittee are on the morale committee. So there's a lot of cross communication. There's really no room for error on that, luckily.
Great, thanks, Heather, James, and Rusty. It's great to have you guys. You're like an extension of the team here, so it's brilliant to have you there, so connected to the local community and spreading the word. So if that's all the questions, we might just jump to the kind of next steps. So we've mentioned it a couple of times, but right after this call, I'll be sharing a communications pack and an email with the link with Jeremy, and he'll then distribute it more widely to everyone who's on the call and everyone who is invited to the call but couldn't make it. And there's lots of content in there that you can just copy and paste and share through your various social media channels or email or whatever it might be. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of hours. And then, yeah, just like Katie and I are available to answer any questions that anyone has at any point. My email address will be on those communications materials, so feel free to reach out to me at any stage. I might just hand over to Jeremy now for a kind of a final word on what you hope the Southern Virginia Community Challenge will bring about.
Thanks, Neve. I appreciate it. So first off, before we even go any further, I want to thank the ChangeX team. They have been phenomenal to work with. When we started this initiative, I took everything to the morale committee, to Heather, James, and Rusty, took everything to them, kind of got their buy-in, which was immediate, to say the least. They've actually gone one step further to have the subcommittee formed. And those folks are the ones that are really going to drive out and hammer it, the impact home. So we are super excited about it. We have folks, James and Heather have been tripping over themselves to go ahead and get things lined up, started conversations with different groups, even though we were waiting on the launch. So we're very happy to be here today. All of the partners that are on the phone call with us currently, even those that couldn't make it, we're looking forward to partnering with them again in other capacities to really move forward and really drive home some impact that you maybe a little bit outside of our threshold of opportunity in the years past. So to say that we're very excited is quite the understatement. The one thing, my one parting wish for this call would be to help us spread the word. You're going to see it come out through various channels. We'll be reaching out to the local newspapers throughout the region. We'll be reaching out via social media. I'm pretty sure every one of us is all connected on LinkedIn. So please help us convey this message to anybody and everybody. Neve has been kind enough to run a monthly Teams call with the communities that had already started ChangeX in the last 6 months or so, and their voice of reasoning to me was, tell everybody about it. Don't hold on to that secret. Tell everybody about it. Shout it from the mountaintops. So that's basically what we would highly encourage you to do on our behalf, is tell everybody about it. If it comes to something that it didn't work, it didn't work, but something good could possibly come out of it for someone else. So we're going to take it and run with it. But we will get tired at some point. So any help that you can extend in that regard, we would go ahead and thank you now for it. I certainly appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that brings us to the end of the call. I just want to say thank you again to Holly, Rahul, Jeremy, Heather, James, and Rusty, and all the team at Microsoft who have supported this and made it possible. Also to the social innovators who joined us today, Phil, Amy, and Alex, and to all the local organizations and people that joined the call to hear more about this today. And we're very excited to see what's going to happen in Southern Virginia over the coming months. So thanks again, everyone. And you have an extra few minutes of your day now that we finished up a little bit early. So watch out for those comms. They'll be coming out soon. And yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. It's great.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
Neve.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Be on the lookout for those emails, folks. Thank y'all.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jeremy. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paul. Neve.
Thanks, Jeremy. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye, Holly.
Bye.